All right, so let's get right into it. Today we are, can you guys see the camera?
Yeah,
All right, so today we are, oh my gosh, we're getting right into our lesson, which is, who's the prince, right? And again, the reason I'm doing this lesson is because there's a lot of confusion in the world, period, about who the Prince of Ezekiel 45 is, right? Who is that really talking about, right? And so we will clear up the confusion by showing people who this is talking about, right? When it's talking about when it says the prince. So for that, we're gonna start in First Maccabees chapter 2, and we'll go from verse 1 to 3. Let's see here. All right. First Maccabees chapter. So before I get into that, I kind of want to kind of preface this by saying like, so the reason we're going to First Maccabees chapter 2, is because I want to show you guys that the prince that's spoken about in Ezekiel 45, which we read last week, we read 44, 45, and 46, and we'll tackle all three chapters telling you who the prince is. We'll select verses from those chapters and just basically break the verses where the prince is mentioned, and we'll break down, well, who exactly is this talking about? Because the translators have done a very lazy job of translating this particular portion of the Bible, and it has caused a lot of confusion. So I'm going to show you guys the confusion that it's caused, and then we'll clear up the confusion. So first and foremost, you guys need to know that when it says the prince in the book of Ezekiel, those particular chapters, um, and really throughout the Bible, it can be the high priest, it can be a ruler of Israel, or it can even be both. It can be the high priest, it could be the actual top ruler, or it can be somebody who is the high priest and the ruler. Also, prince is used to talk about to refer to the heads of the tribes of Israel. That you don't have to worry about in these three chapters because it's not talking about the head of the tribe, the heads of the tribes of Israel. It's talking about a particular powerful ruler in some spots, and in other spots, it's talking about something else. So let's break it all down by starting in First Maccabees, and we'll read chapter 2, and then we'll read verse 1 to verse 3. Go ahead, Sava.
it is also found in the records that Jeremy the prophet commanded them that were carried away to take of the fire, as
I'm
it hath
sorry, one
been
second, one second. I am in Second Maccabees. I should be in First Maccabees. All right, go ahead.
in those days arose Ma- Mattathias, the son of John, the son of Simeon, a priest of the sons of Joarib from Jerusalem, and dwelt in Modin.
All
And
right,
he
so
had
wait, hold on. So Mattathias was the son of John, the son of Simeon. What was his job in Israel?
a priest.
He was a priest. Okay, and what you're gonna see as we go through the precepts is that the priest, when it says the priest, it's talking about the sons of Aaron. Okay. When talking about the Levites, it'll tell you the Levites. But most times when you see the priest, and indeed, when you see the priest in Ezekiel 44, it's talking about the sons of Aaron. All right. specifically the sons of Aaron, and this is very important. Okay, so this guy Mattathias, he was a priest, which means he was from what tribe? Anyone can answer.
Levi?
Yeah, he was from the tribe of Levi. Okay. Read on, Saba.
And he had 5 sons. Joannan called Sadis, Simon called Thassi, Judas, who was called Maccabeus,
Mm-hmm.
Eli Eleazar called Avaran, and Jonathan, whose surname was Athis.
So it's Jonathan, all right, and his surname was Aphas. So Maccabeus, who remembers who Maccabeus is? Who's Judas Maccabeus? You guys remember who he is or what he did?
A, a high priest.
Nope. Anyone remember who Judas Maccabeus is and what he did?
He wasn't a priest?
Well, actually, yes, you're right. Sorry. Yes. Yes, he indeed was a priest. Yes, he was of the priestly caste. Let's say that, right? So yes. Yes, I apologize. Yes. Go ahead. So he was a priest, but what is he noted for?
Defending the country?
Yep, defending the Israelites from the Greeks, right? Preventing the Greeks from exterminating the Israelites, man. That's what he's known for. And he was of the priestly caste, right? He himself was a priest, man. Now, did he do the office of a priest in uh um going to the holy place and burning incense and that sort of thing? No, right? But he was from a priestly family, right? So these were Levite men. This is very important. You have the priests fighting for the whole nation, man, and shedding blood for the nation. 5 priests. Nobody else had the courage or the faith to do it, but 5 priests defended our nation from destruction against the Greeks, man, right? I mean, when most of our people were in bed with these nations, man, they wanted to be Greeks, you know. I believe it's in the 7th chapter of this book, it tells you, they preferred Greek fashions than the ways of their fathers, man, which is disgusting, right? And it's happening the same way today, unfortunately. In any case, Mattathias was a priest, Maccabeus was a priest, and Simon is who I want to highlight. Simon, the son of Mattathias, was also a priest. And what you will get to see is that he became a high priest. And to become a high priest, you don't elect yourself. The people have to elect you as the high priest, right? In fact, the Most High chooses his high priest, and then, through the mouth of the people, it comes forth. Sometimes just through the mouth of a prophet, sometimes through the will of the people, right? And we know that the Most High controls everything, but I just wanted to make that clear. So Simon is the one that we want to remember because Simon held the office of a priest and the office of the ruler of the people. So I wanted to illustrate to you guys again the prince, when it says the prince, it can be talking about the high priest, the ruler, for example, the king, or somebody who is both the ruler or king and the high priest, of which Yahawashi is an example, and we'll go through the scriptures to prove that, right? So let's go to First Maccabees chapter 15, and we'll read verse 1 to 2, right? So we're highlighting Simon, who was a high priest and a prince. So First Maccabees 15. Let me get that, KK. Um, verse 1 and 2, nice and loud, please.
Moreover, and
Antiochus,
Antiochus, son of Demetrius, the king, sent letters from isles over the sea unto Simon the priest and prince of the Jews,
right? So
to
Simon,
all
hold on. So Simon was the priest and what?
the priests and the prince of the Jews.
You see that? So Simon, the son of Mattathias that we just looked at, was both a priest and prince, i.e., ruler, the top ruler of the Jews, right? So the king, Antiochus is sending him letters, right? Read on.
And to all the people,
Mm-hmm.
the continents whereof were these: King Antinous,
Antiochus,
Antiochus, to Simon the high priest and prince of his nation, and to the people of the Jews greeting.
right? So Simon was in verse 1 we find out he was the priest and the prince. In verse 2 we get a few more details. So what kind of priest was he?
High priest.
That's right. Who is the high priest? Anyone that can answer, who knows?
Other than Simon, right?
Yeah, not I'm not asking for names, right? I guess what I'm asking is there any position higher than the high priest in the priesthood? Okay,
No.
yeah, the answer is no. The high priest is the top priest, okay? He's the ruler of the priests. But what this is showing, and I hope you guys can see clearly, it says Simon was the high priest and the prince of his nation, meaning he was both the high priest and the ruler. As I said, happens sometimes in the scriptures. The high priest is also the king. You understand? Um, this is the role that Yahawashi has. He is the high priest and he is the king as well, right? We'll go to Hebrews 8 and read verse 1, right? We'll go to Hebrews 8 in the New Testament. Let's get this, subs.
Now of the things which we have spoken, this is the sum. We have such an high priest who is set on the right hand of the throne of the majesty in the heavens.
Right, so
A minister,
hold on. Who is the priest, the high priest that sits at the right hand of Yahawah? Who is the high priest that sits at the right hand of Yahawah?
Yahawashi.
That's right, right? Read 12 to 14 here. It'll make it a bit more clear. This is Hebrews chapter 10. Go ahead.
Mm, For by one offering he hath
No, no,
perfect.
this is Hebrews 10, verse 12 to verse 14.
But this man, after he had offered one sacrifice for sins forever, sat down on the right hand of Yahweh,
Right,
from henceforth expecting till his enemies be made his footstool.
right,
For by one offering he hath perfected forever them that are sanctified.
You see that? Right? Um, and who is this talking about? Let's go from 9. Uh, yeah, go from 9. Sorry, 8. Read from 8 up to 12, just so we can see who this is talking about.
Above when he said, sacrifice and offering and burnt offerings and offering for sin thou wouldest not,
Hmm.
neither hast pleasure therein, which are offered by the law.
Go ahead.
And then said he, Lo, I come to do thy will. He taketh
Yeah,
away.
you skip 2 whole words there. Lo, I come to do thy will.
Hmm. Then he said, Lo, I
Sava.
come.
Okay, go ahead.
Then he said, Lo, I come to do thy will, O God.
Right.
He taketh away the first that he may establish the second,
Go ahead.
by the which will we are sanctified through the offering of the body of Yahawashi once for all.
You hear that? Yahawashi removed the sacrifices of burnt offerings, okay, and sin offerings, and offered instead his body once. Because as we read on, we're going to see that the prince in Ezekiel was offering burnt sacrifices, sin sacrifices, peace offerings, and all of these things on the altar. But it said Yahawashi came and he offered his body once for all men. Well, it says once. This for all is added. That's why it's in italices. We know it's not for all. We know it's for Israel. That's Matthew 15:24. That's Luke chapter uh 168 to 72, and many other scriptures. Read on. So Yahushua he offered once for all, right? And he was a high priest, right? We seen that. We just showed that in the scriptures, and he's seated on the right hand of Yahawah, right? And look, here it's gonna reiterate again what's going on with him. 11.
And every priest standeth daily ministering and offering oftentimes the same sacrifices, which can never take away sins.
Right?
But this man, after he had offered one sacrifice for sins forever, sat down on the right hand of Yahawah.
Right? That's it, right? And we all know who that was, right? So so that shows Yahweh Shai, the high priest, right? Because it's the high priest that did what? He offered the sacrifices, the sin offerings specifically. And Yahweh Shai offered one sin offering, whereas the high priest would offer many. And we're gonna see through the precepts that it was the high priest, right? Let's go to Hebrews 7. And we'll read 26 to 28. Go ahead, KK.
For such an high priest became us, who is holy, harmless, unidentified, separate separate from sinners, and made high higher than the heavens,
Go ahead.
who who needeth not daily as those high priests to offer up sacrifice first for his own sins and then for the people's. For did once when he offered up himself.
Mm-hmm.
For the law maketh man high priests, which have infirmity, but
Infirmity,
infirmity,
right?
but the word of the oath, which was since the law maketh the Son, who
Mm-hmm.
is considered for evermore.
Who is consecrated forevermore, which means he's made holy forevermore. So Yahawashi doesn't have to come and make daily sacrifice or yearly sacrifice. Okay? He offered himself once as the what they call him in verse 26? What did the scriptures call Yahawashi in verse 26?
High priest.
The high priest. Okay? The high priest. And in other scriptures, and I feel like it's common knowledge that Yahawashi is the prince of the universe, under the king Yahawah, right? So, I mean, I'm not even gonna go into that because I think that's commonly accepted knowledge, right? And you guys can always find a couple scriptures on that. So we showed Simon the high priest and prince. We showed Yahawashi, who was also or is also the high priest and prince of Israel, right? Um, so let's show some examples where it just calls the ruler the prince. Let's go to First Chronicles. I will read verse 10 here, and we'll also read verse 19. Go ahead, Sabs. Hold on a second. Okay, all right, cool. Yeah.
And Solomon's son was
Sorry, go from 9.
these were all the sons of David, beside the sons of the concubines, and Tamar their sister,
Tamar.
and Tamar. And Solomon's son was Rehoboam.
Solomon.
A- Solomon's son was Rehoboam.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, Abia his son, As Asha, is that how pronounced?
Asa.
Asa his son, Jehoshaphat his son,
Stop right there. So these were the sons of who?
David,
David what was his role in Israel?
a priest.
No, David was not a priest. Anyone?
King.
Go ahead, louder.
King.
That's right, David was a king. So these sons would be,
Kings.
no, they would be princes. The son of the king is the prince, right? So these are princes. Go down to, it just names a whole list of them, okay? Now go down to, this is the royal line of David, right? It tells you all his sons there, right? Of which Yahawashi is one. He's one of the sons of David, so automatically he's a prince in Israel, right? and grown up and sat upon the throne, he would be the king of Israel. So in verse 19, there's a son that we have to pay special attention to, right? Because he comes back to Jerusalem and starts to rebuild the temple after I think it's Nebuchadnezzar. Don't quote me on that. After it's destroyed the first time, right? Let me just make sure. Oh, 1 second. Who destroyed the first temple? Oh, yeah. So after Nebuchadnezzar destroyed it, okay? This guy rebuilt it. 19.
And the sons of Pedaiah were Zerubbabel and Shimei, and the sons of Zerubbabel, Meshullam and Hananiah, and Shelemith, their sister,
Right. So Zerubbabel was a
prince.
yeah, Zerubbabel was a prince. So let's go now to Haggai 1:1. Just get a precept on that. A witness. Go ahead, KK.
In the second year of Darius the king, in the
Darius or Darius.
Darius,
Yeah.
Darius the king, in the 6th month, and the first day of the month, came the word of Yahawah by Haggai the prophet unto Zerubbabel, of the son of Shealtiel,
Shealtiel.
Shealtiel, governor of Judah, and to Joshua the son of Jodas, the high priest, saying, Thus speaketh Yahawah of hosts, saying, This people say, but the time it is not come, the time that Yahawah's house shall be built.
Right. So stop right there. Right. So the word came by Haggai the prophet, and it came to Zerubbabel, the son of Shealtiel. Right. Now I'm starting to wonder if this is the same Zerubbabel here, because it says the sons of Pedaiah here, but this word Salathiel looks like Shealtiel. In any case, let's go back. Let's go forward here. Let's have a look at this. Let me see. Haggai 1:1. One second. Sha'al Tayal. Chronicles. Zerubbabel. All right. So yeah, he was from the line of David. Okay. Zerubbabel was a descendant of King David and grandson of what? Yahokain, Jehoiakim. Oh, Jehoiakim. All right, cool. So that's what I just wanted to make sure that that was on point there. So he was indeed a descendant, which would make him a prince. Okay, so that's good. All right, so we see Zerubbabel was a prince. So sometimes the prince can mean the ruler, right? Or the royal, the person in the royal house, right? The ruler in the royal house, and sometimes it just mean a ruler or a governor, okay? And the way Israel is formatted politically, we run a monarchy, okay? So if you see in the prince, best believe that person is of the royal house. If you see in the king, then you know, of course, that's the king. And sometimes when you see governor, it indeed is just a mistranslation and should be translated as the prince. Okay, so you got to be careful. And that's what this lesson today is really about, right? Really, it's pointing out the careless translation of this particular part of scripture, right? That causes a lot of confusion, right? But we'll clear it up, right? So it says here in Ezekiel 45 as well as 44 and 46, the word translated as the prince is talking about two different individuals. And you must know their ordinances or their responsibilities to be able to decipher or figure out which one is being referenced, which one is being talked about, right? So let's examine the ordinances of these various so-called princes. So we can see, is this talking about a ruler in Israel? Is this talking about the actual royal ruler in Israel? Or is this talking about a high priest? Or is this talking about somebody who is both a high priest and the ruler of Israel? So that's what we'll be able to clearly figure out through these precepts. So let's go to Ezekiel 45, just to refresh our memories. And we'll read, let's go ahead, Ezekiel 45. Lamentations, Ezekiel 45. Okay. Um, and let's get 7 to 12, and we'll break this down. Go ahead. I think it's Sabs to read here. So what we're looking at here is one of the princes. I've titled this The Prince of the Possession. Why? Because this is going to talk about how this particular prince has a possession in Israel and so on and so forth. So if there's a prince with a possession, we got to see what prince exactly that is, because there's certain princes, okay, that are not allowed to have possessions, right? So is this talking about a high priest? Is this talking about a ruler? Is this talking about a priest? Or is this talking about, yeah, is this talking about a high priest? Or is this talking about a royal person or someone else, to make it simple? So that's what we're going to figure out. So let's read first 7 to 12, and then we'll break it down. Go ahead.
And a portion shall be for the prince on the one side, and on the other side of the oblation of the holy portion.
Stop right
And
there.
a,
So what's happening is an angel is telling Ezekiel how the land is to be divided up between the people of Israel. And so now he's telling him about the princely portion. Go ahead.
and of the possession of the city, before the oblation of the holy portion.
That's in front of the oblation. Go ahead.
and before the possession of the city,
Mm-hmm.
from the west side westward, and from the east side eastward. And the length shall be over against one of the portions from the west border unto the east border.
Yeah, stop right there. So I don't know if you guys remember from last week, but we were looking at a rough sketch of the various portions that the land was split into, right? From west to east. You know, the land was split into particular portions with particular widths and lengths, right? And we had the holy portion, we had the prince's portion, which I'm not too sure if this is properly positioned. You know, this could be inaccurate. The prince's portion, the holy portion, definitely accurate. The citizen's portion, definitely accurate. But we were looking at this sketch. So just to jog you guys' memory, you know, it's talking about the portion of the prince's land, okay, and dividing that up, right? This is very important because if the prince is getting land, that means this can't be talking about a particular type of prince, right? Again, the prince can be talking about the high priest, the ruler, both or both in this particular context, right? So is it talking about a high priest? Is it talking about a ruler, or is it talking about both? This is the question that we have to answer. And the very fact that it is a possession for the prince is a big clue as to definitely who it is not. And we're gonna figure it out with the precepts, right? So go ahead, Sava. 8.
In the land shall be his possession in Israel, and my princes shall no more oppress my people. And the rest of the land shall they give to the house of Israel according to their tribes. Thus saith Yahawah, let it sacrifice,
Let it
let it su- let it suffice you,
suffice.
let it suffice you, O
Mhm.
princes of Israel, and remove violence and spoil, and execute judgment and justice. Take away your exactions from my people, saith Yahawah.
Mhm.
Ye shall
So stop right there. So far, which prince is this talking about? Is this talking about Yahawashi? Like, is this talking about a high priest? Or is this talking about a ruler of Israel from what you guys see so far?
a ruler of Israel.
Yep. KK, and Babe, what do you guys see?
A ruler of Israel.
I,
Not the
you don't
men
sound
of
too
God.
sure. I'm asking what you see. Regardless of what, we'll get to the right answer, but what do you see?
From where again?
This particular verse that Saba just read, if you didn't catch it, just let me know.
No,
You didn't catch it.
no.
All right, no problem. So, uh, Saba is right. This is talking about the ruler of Israel. Now, why do you say that, Sabs?
Um, because the rules that they are, well, the rules that Yahweh is saying is like he's explaining that this is what should happen to Israel. Like this is how you should run Israel.
Okay, cool, cool. How do you know it's not the high priest though? Because the high priest has an office where you know he does run Israel, especially in the absence of a king. Well, in the absence of a king, he runs Israel, or as the king as well. So how do you know that when it says princes here, it's not talking about the high priest?
Mm, well, because this is just talking about like the house of Israel.
No, that's not correct. I'll we'll get into it. Read till 12 and then we'll break it down. Go ahead.
Ye shall have just balances, and a just ephah, and a just bath. The ephah and the bath shall be for of one measure, and that the bath may contain the 10th part of an homer, and the ephah the 10th part of an homer. The measure thereof shall be after the homer,
Right?
and the shekel shall be 20 gerahs,
Geras.
gerahs, 20 shekels, and 25 shekels, 15 shekels shall be your maneh.
Right. One second. All right. So notice a couple things. It says, in the land shall be his possession. Whose possession? The possession of the prince. The portion shall be for the prince. On one side, on the other side, of the oblation, meaning the offering of the holy portion. So the holy portion of the land, a part of that holy portion of the land is supposed to belong to the prince. That's what the scriptures say. It shall be his possession. How do we know this is not referring to the high priest? Which definitely means, anyway, how do we know this is not referring to the high priest? Well, let's go to Numbers 18 and verse 20, right? Let me open up another one here. I want to duplicate this. Can we do that? Duplicate. Nice. All right, Numbers 18 and verse 20. Read that for me, please, KK.
Um, which verse?
Verse 20.
And Yahawah spake unto Aaron, Thou art have no in
Thou
thou shalt have no inheritance in their land.
in in
Inheritance
inheritance, right?
inheritance
Yeah.
in their land.
Meaning, hold on, meaning you're not gonna have any possession in the land. Nothing is gonna be passed down to you in the land of Israel. You're not gonna have any land, right? That's what the Most High is saying.
Mhm.
He said that unto Aaron. Go ahead.
Neither shalt thou have any part among them. I am thy part, and thine inherent inheritance in among the children of Israel.
Right. So what was Aaron's job in Israel? Right here. What was Aaron's job in Israel?
He was a high priest.
That's right. Aaron was the high priest in Israel. Right here, In verse 20, Yahawah says the high priest is to have land or not have land, KK. Does he have an inheritance or he doesn't?
Um, doesn't have an inheritance.
That's right, he doesn't have an inheritance. So when we go back to Ezekiel and we read 45 from verse 7, when it says, "And a portion shall be for the prince on the one side and on the other side, and of the possession of the city before the oblation of the holy portion," and so on and so forth, where it says, "A portion meaning of the land shall be for the prince." Is it possible that this prince in this context is talking about the high priest? Or in other words, can the high priest have a possession of land in Israel?
No,
No. So is this when it says the prince here, is it talking about the high priest?
no,
No. That's how you know it is 100% talking about what you said, Saba, which is a ruler in Israel. It cannot be the high priest because the high priest has no land possession in Israel. Okay? So it has to be talking about a ruler of the people. Let's get another precept on that. So hopefully you guys are noting how you do investigations in the scriptures. It's always the precepts. You go and you investigate the precepts, you see what the rules are, what the laws are, and then you can tell what is going on despite certain deceptions, mistranslations, etc. Right? In fact, you will be able to start to see where things have been mistranslated or misrepresented because you're like, wait, hold on, the law doesn't say that. And so, when you go, you look in the Greek and whatever, you're able to spot the mistakes and the deceptions simply by using the precepts as Yahawah recommends, not recommends, commands in Isaiah 28, verse 9 and 10. Now, the Christian will tell you that this is not how the Bible should be understood, but yet they cannot break down the scriptures. If you ask them to break down Revelation chapter 12, they can't do a damn thing because they don't use the precepts. But if you use the precepts, even the darkest sentences, meaning the deepest secrets of the scriptures, um, uh, can be deciphered, man. Whatever the Most High decides to give you, right? And our brother Naquam and his squad over there at Watchmen for Israel have been able to decipher some deep secrets of the scriptures by using the precepts, man, right? And so have we. All praise to the Most High and many Israelites. So the prince of the possession was a ruler and not a high priest. It was impossible for him to be a high priest because there is possession for him in the land. So this had to be talking about a ruler of Israel, an actual prince, governor, or king. Let's back that up with Deuteronomy 10 and verse 9. I think is it KK to read or you, Sabs?
I think it's me.
Go ahead.
Verse 8.
Sure. 8 and 9.
At that time, Yahweh separated the tribe of Levi to bear the ark of the covenant of Yahweh, to stand before Yahweh, to minister unto him, and to bless in his name unto this day. Wherefore Levi hath no part nor inheritance with his brethren. Yahweh is his inheritance, according to as Yahweh thy God promised him.
Right. So, who else has no possession in Israel? So we know the high priest cannot get a possession. Who else cannot get a possession?
king,
It's right here in the scriptures. He names a particular tribe.
Levi?
Levi,
That's right. And guess what tribe Aaron was from? The high priest Aaron.
Levi,
Yeah. Same tribe as Moses. Moses was also of the tribe of Levi. These men were all priests. The Levites are the priests. So when the Israelites are sharing out their land, the Levites get no land. Why? According to this scripture. And the same thing came up under Aaron. Why? Why don't they get a possession of land?
Yahweh promised them that they won't.
Yep, that's part of the answer. But they have a possession. What is their possession? It's not land. What is their possession according to the scriptures here?
the the people,
That's not true. Verse 9. What is the possession of the priests? The Levites, the priests come out of the tribe of Levi. What is the possession of the people of Levi according to Yahawah? They don't get land. What do they get? Verse 9.
his inheritance, Yahweh's inheritance.
No, Yahawah. And specifically, what we're going to see is they get all the holy things. So when you bring the best dough to the temple, when you bring the best sheep to the temple, when you bring the best cow to the temple, it all goes to the Levites. They're the ones that eat it. They get the best part of the best animal. That's their possession. Whatever is given to Yahawah, that is their possession. They don't have any land. These guys lived in the temple. So they had the best of everything 24/7. Verse 9 says, wherefore Levi have no part nor inheritance with his brethren. Yahawah is his inheritance. Everybody see that?
I
Everybody
see
see
it
that?
now.
Sorry, go ahead.
I see it now.
All praises. So let's go on to so that's the prince of the possession. So the prince of the possession is a ruler in Israel. When we go back to Ezekiel 45, I think it's on here. Yeah, verse 7 to verse 9. This particular prince is a ruler in Israel and not the high priest. And as we looked at last week, certainly not Yahawashi, because we even looked at last week how it says the princes were oppressing the people. Look, my princes shall no more oppress my people. Yahawashi don't oppress people. Okay, so it's impossible for this to be Yahawashi. It's impossible for it to be the high priest. It's impossible for it to be the priest because they have no possession. We're left with one choice. This must be a ruler of Israel. All praise to the Most High. So let's drop down a bit and see who the prince of the offerings is, because it talks about another prince here, right? And we're going to see if this is the same prince or a different one. So I call this part here the prince of the offerings. Okay, so we're going to go look and see who is this prince of the offerings. uh, let's get verse 16 and 17 and also verse 22 read, KK. I think it's KK to read now. Verse 16 and 17, and then we'll also read verse 22. Go ahead.
Um, 21, right?
Ezekiel 45, verse 16 and
Oh,
17, and then
all,
we'll jump down and we'll read verse 22 after that.
all, all the people of the land shall give this oblation for the prince in Israel, and it shall be the prince's part to give burnt offerings and meat offerings and drink offerings in the feasts and in the new moons and in the Shabbats, in all the Solomite,
Solemnity.
so solemnity, Temites,
Solemnities. Okay?
solemnities
Yeah, solemnities. Okay? Go ahead.
of the house of Israel. He, he shall prepare the sin offering and the meat offering and the burnt offering and the peace offering to make a reconciliation
See, Lee.
Asian
Uh-huh.
for the house of Israel.
Right. So this is very important. This particular prince, it says it's going to be his, says he shall prepare the sin offering, meat offering, burnt offering to make reconciliation for the house of Israel. So this particular prince it's talking about in these verses, this prince has to prepare the sin offering. This is very important. The meat, which is grain offering, burnt, peace, and then he's going to make reconciliation for the house of Israel. What you're going to find is there is only one prince that can do this. Only one prince can make reconciliation for the house of Israel. And it sure isn't the ruler of the people. So what you're going to see is that right here, this prince word should have been translated differently to give people more clarity on what exactly this was saying, right? Um, read 22 as well.
And upon that day shall the prince prepare for himself and for all the people of the land a bullock for a sin offering.
Right. Now, reading what we've already read today, who would you guys say this is? Who is the prince here? Making a um sin offering for the people, making reconciliation for the people, and doing all of these offerings. With what we've read so far, who do you guys think this is talking about? Which prince? When it says the prince here, who does it really mean?
Uh, Levi.
Yeah, you're getting you're that's part of the answer. Definitely a Levite.
Like a high priest?
100%. Now, what made you say a high priest?
Because a high priest would um um do this for like
Is it,
um
sorry,
I just don't really think a king would do this.
a teen?
a king would do this.
Right. Okay. Okay. Well, if you remember the scripture that we read in Hebrews, I believe it was 10. We'll go look at it real quick. I think it was Hebrews 10. No, it was, I believe, Hebrews 7. Let's go there real quick. That tells you that there was a that the high priest was doing these particular sacrifices that were just mentioned here, right? And it said he used to offer these offerings daily for the people. Now there was a the reconciliation offering was once a year, but the sin offerings were morning and evening. Uh, uh, if I remember the ordinances correctly, which I'm pretty sure, I'm 99% sure that this is what it is. In any case, the scriptures will tell you straight up, um, for such an high priest became us, who is holy, harmless, and defiled, separate from sinners, and made higher than the heavens, who needeth not daily, as those high priests, to offer up sacrifice. You see that? So it's telling us here the high priest before daily had to offer up sacrifice for their own sins and for the people's sins. Right? Yahawashi, it says, did this once. You see that? So that's a big clue. Saying these old high priests, they had to offer up sacrifice for their own sins and for the people's sins. The high priest had to do that. So when we go here and they talk about upon that day shall the prince prepare for himself and the people a bullock for a sin offering. We know this cannot be talking about the ruler of Israel. And I'm going to show you guys the precepts that definitively show this is impossible to be the ruler of Israel, because it's actually illegal for the ruler of Israel to offer sacrifices on the altar of Yahawah. It's spiritually illegal. So whoever thought this was talking about the high priest, I think that was KK, you're 100% correct, right? And then it says in 17, it will be the prince's part to give burnt offerings, meat offerings, drink offerings in the feast, new moon, Sabbaths, and all solemnities of the house of Israel. He shall prepare the sin offering. This is the big clue. And all these other offerings, which Hebrews 7 was just talking about. And then here's another big clue: to make reconciliation for the house of Israel. Only one priest. The Levites were a tribe of priests, but only one priest could make reconciliation for the house of Israel, and that was the high priest family. Right? So we're gonna go through the precepts, just cementing this in stone, right? Let's go to Leviticus chapter 9, right? Because we want to answer this question here. Whose responsibility is it to make offerings according to the law of Moses? Right? It's a certain person's responsibility. Okay, Sabs, we're gonna read this whole thing. Um, Go ahead.
Mm, I have to leave soon, so I'll just read a few for now.
All right, read as much as you can, and then I'll do the rest.
And it came to pass on the 8th day that Moses called Aaron and his sons and the elders of Israel. And he said unto Aaron, Take thee a young calf for a sin offering, and a ram for a burnt offering without blemish, and offer them before Yahawah. And unto the children of Israel thou shalt speak, saying, Take ye a kid of the goats for a sin offering, and a calf and a lamb, both of the first year, without blemish, for a burnt offering. Also a bullock and a ram for peace offerings, to sacrifice before Yahawah, and a meat offering mingled with oil. For today Yahawah will appear unto you.
Go ahead.
And they brought that which Moses commanded before the tabernacle of the congregation, and
Congregation. Congregation, the tabernacle of the
congregation,
assembly of Israelites.
and all the congregation drew near and stood before Yahawah.
Right.
And Moses said, This is the thing which Yahawah commanded that ye should do. And the glory of Yahawah shall appear unto you. And Moses said unto Aaron, Go unto the altar and offer thy sin offering and thy burnt offering, and make an atonement for thyself and for the people, and
Oh,
offer
stop
the
right
offering
there. Stop, stop, stop. Make an atonement for thyself and for who?
and for the people.
So who was making atonement for the people?
Aaron,
Aaron. And what was Aaron's job?
to make atonements for the people.
No, no. What is Aaron's job? That's not his job. That's just what he did. What is Aaron's position in Israel? What is his responsibility? What is his job? He is not just a priest because Moses was a priest. Aaron was the
High priest.
Aaron was the high priest. Aaron was the high priest. That's why he's able to make atonement for himself and for the people. We read in Hebrews 7, Yahawashi was a high priest able to make atonement for the people. Reconciliation, atonement, propitiation, all these mean the same thing. So Aaron did the atonement for himself, and Aaron also did the atonement for the people. It's Aaron's responsibility to do that. Now watch this. Read on.
And offer the offering of the people, and make an atonement for them as Yahweh commanded.
Right. So do people go with their calves and make an atonement for their sins by themselves?
No.
No. They have to bring it to the priest, and the high priest will make an atonement for them. Just like today, Yahawashi makes atonement for us when we sin. We pray through Yahawashi's name, and Yahawashi takes that prayer and presents it before the Most High through the holy angels. Okay, we cannot reach the Most High directly. It just doesn't work like that. We have a high priest who is the um, mediator between Yahweh and us, the Israelites, right? So, Saba, I know you gotta go. So, do you want to wrap it there and cut?
One more.
All right, go ahead.
Aaron therefore went unto the altar, and slew the calf of the sin offering, which was for himself.
Right, right. So, all praises. Um, I'll see you next Shabbat, Lord willing. And we'll talk in the week. Okay, you have a great day and have a good
All right.
Shabbat this evening. Okay.
Yeah, you too.
All right.
Shalom. See ya.
Shalom.
Shalom.
So make sure you say shalom to everyone. I think he gone. Okay. says in verse 9, and the sons of Aaron brought the blood unto him, right? And he dipped his finger in the blood and put it upon the horns of the altar and poured out the blood at the bottom of the altar. And what you guys are gonna see is that it's always like that. The priests, the Levites bring the blood, and the priests, you know, um, sprinkle the blood. Aaron put the blood on the horns of the altar because he's the high priest. The regular priest would sprinkle the blood, right? At least that's what I've seen. If I'm incorrect, family, throw something in the comments and let me know. But that's all I've seen in my study so far. Verse 10 says, but the fat and the kidneys and the caul above the liver of the sin offering, he burnt up, he burnt upon the altar, as Yahawah commanded Moses. So this is not just, man's commandment. Yahawah command Moses for Aaron, the high priest, to burn the fat, the kidneys, and the caul above the liver upon the altar, man. This is straight from Yahawah. Let the high priest do that work. And the flesh and the hide he burnt with fire without the camp, meaning outside the camp. And he slew the burnt offering, and Aaron's sons, presented him the blood, which he sprinkled round about upon the altar. And they presented the burnt offering unto him with the pieces thereof and the head, and he burnt them upon the altar. And he did wash the inwards and the legs, and burnt them upon the burnt offering on the altar. And he brought the people's offering, and took the goat, which was the sin offering for the people, right? Aaron took the goat that was the sin offering for the people. The high priest took the goat that was the sin offering for the people, and he slew it, and he offered it for sin as the first. So there's a second thing that he slew. He slew the bullock for himself, if I remember correctly, and now he's slaying the goat for the people. And he brought the burnt offering and offered it according to the manner. And he brought the meat offering, which is the grain offering, and took a handful thereof and burnt it upon the altar beside the burnt sacrifice of the morning. So he had also done the burnt sacrifice of the morning. I hope you're starting to see the pattern that the high priest's responsibility is to do these particular things. It says he slew also the bullock and the ram for a sacrifice of peace offerings, which was for the people. And Aaron's sons presented unto him the blood, which he sprinkled upon the altar round about, and the fat of the bullock and of the ram, the rump, and that which covereth the inwards, and the kidneys, and the caul above the liver. And they put the fat upon the breasts, and he burnt the fat upon the altar. And the breast and the right shoulder Aaron waved for a wave offering before Yahawah, as Moses commanded. So again, this is not men's commandments. This is coming from Yahawah straight. The high priest is to do these offerings. And Aaron lifted up his hand toward the people and blessed them, and came down from offering of the sin offering and the burnt offering and peace offerings. I'll read that again. Aaron lifted up his hand toward the people and blessed them, right? And came down from offering of, what did Aaron offer? The high priest, the sin, the burnt, the peace. The high priest did that for the people. And Moses and Aaron went into the tabernacle of the congregation and came out and blessed the people, and the glory of Yahawah appeared unto all the people. And there came a fire out from before Yahawah, and consumed upon the altar the burnt offering and the fat. which when all the people saw, they shouted and fell on their faces. Amen. So, who is responsible to make offerings according to the law of Moses? Aaron. Let's expand on that understanding a bit more by looking at Leviticus 17. I told you guys already the priests um most times speaking of the sons of Aaron are the ones that did this, right? They're the ones that offered, right? And the tribe of Levi, you know, ministered unto the work. So let's read Leviticus 17 to get some more details, some more granular details. So we see who did the offering for the people and for himself. It was the high priest. Let's see what else is going on. KK, let me see. Do I have any other readers other than Sabs, who's now left, and KK?
No.
All right. So, KK, go ahead. KK, you there?
Where are we?
Leviticus chapter 17 and verse 1. Okay? Focus. Let's
Oh,
go. Follow along.
and Yahawah spake unto Moses, saying, Speak unto Aaron and unto his sons, and unto all the children of Israel, and say unto them, This is the thing which Yahawah hath commanded, saying, What man soever there be of the house of Israel that killeth an ox or a lamb or a goat or in the camp,
Or
or
that killeth, hold on, yeah, yeah, go ahead, sorry.
that killeth it out of the camp,
Go ahead.
and bringeth it not unto the door of the tabernacle of the congregation to offer
Congregation.
an offering unto Yahawah before the tabernacle of Yahawah. Blood shall be imputed unto that man, he hath shed blood, and that man shall be cut off from among his people.
Right. So the Most High said, if you kill a ox, a lamb, a goat in the camp or outside of the camp, and you don't bring it unto the door of the tabernacle of the congregation, meaning the door of the temple, to offer an offering to Yahweh in front of the tabernacle, in front of the temple of Yahweh, you're gonna be guilty of sin, right? And if I'm not mistaken, specifically murder. And the Most High say he's gonna cut you off from Israel. That's how important it was to bring these sacrifices to the tabernacle, to the temple. You were a murderer if you didn't bring it to the temple, man. Go ahead. Why is he saying that? He tells you here. Go ahead.
And bringeth it
Verse 5. Verse 5.
to the end of the children of Israel.
No, KK, no, 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 no. It's very important that you read the words one by one so you
I
can
mean,
get them right. Go ahead.
to the end that the children of Israel may bring their sacrifices which they offer in the open field, even that they may bring them unto Yahawah, unto the door of the tabernacle of the congregation, unto the priest, and offer them for peace offerings unto Yahawah.
They supposed to bring it to the door of the tabernacle of the congregation unto who?
The priest.
They gotta bring it to the priest, man. They have to bring it to the priest. Right? Go ahead.
And the priest shall sprinkle blood upon the attar, the 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 attar of
Altar.
altar of Yahawah at the door of tabernacle of the congregation,
Mm-hmm.
and burn the fat or the sweet savor unto Yahawah.
Right.
And they shall no more offer their sacrifices unto devils, after whom they have gone a
A whoring.
whoring. This shall be a statute forever unto them throughout their generations.
Right. So this is very important. You gotta bring that animal to the door of the tabernacle of the congregation and give it to the priest. Bring the sacrifice to the door of the tabernacle of the congregation and give it to the priest so that the priest sprinkle the blood and make a peace offering for you um, concerning Yahweh. And the Most High said this is a statute throughout your generations. Okay. So again, another clue showing this was not the ruler offering these particular sacrifices. It's not their responsibility, and it never has been. Okay. I'm going to read Deuteronomy 12, verse 1 to 2, and then we'll move on to the next point. Uh, Deuteronomy 12. It says, these are the statutes and judgments which you shall observe to do in the land, which Yahweh God of your fathers giveth you to possess it. All the days that you live upon the earth, you shall utterly destroy all the places wherein the nations which you shall possess serve their gods, upon the high mountains and upon the high hills and under every green tree. And you shall overthrow their altars, break down their pillars, burn their groves with fire, and you shall cut down the graven images of their gods and destroy the names of them out of that place. You shall not do so unto Yahweh your God, but unto the place which Yahweh your God shall choose out of all your tribes to put his name there, even unto this habitation shall you seek, and there thou, or thither, meaning there, thou shalt come. And there you shall bring your burnt offerings, your sacrifices, your tithes, the heave offerings of your hand, your vows, your freewill offerings, the firstlings of your herds and of your flocks. So the place Yahweh choose, like we just read in the last scripture, which is the door of the temple of the door of the door of the temple. That's where you bring your burnt offerings, sacrifices, tithes, heave offerings, vows, freewill offerings, the firstlings of the herds and the firstlings of the flocks, meaning the firstborn. And there you shall eat before Yahweh your God, and you shall rejoice in all that you put your hand to unto, you and your households, wherein Yahawah your God have blessed you. You shall not do after all the things we do here this day, every man whatsoever is right in his own eyes. Why is the Most High saying that? Because people used to just sacrifice anywhere they feel like. And we looked at this scripture before. The Most High said, you shall not do these things. That's why we just read, he said, you have to bring it to the door of the tabernacle or it's going to impute blood unto you. Sin, murder, if I remember correctly. He says, for you are not as yet come to the rest and to the inheritance which Yahawah your God giveth you. See that? That's why you guys are all sacrificing anyway. You haven't come yet to the rest or the inheritance. The inheritance was the land, the rest, Jerusalem. They hadn't come there yet. But once you get there, you can't just do what you're doing here today. You got to come to the temple. He said, but when you go over Jordan and dwell in the land which Yahawah your God giveth you to inherit, and when he giveth you rest from all your enemies round about, so that you dwell in safety, then there shall be a place which Yahawah your God shall choose to cause his name to dwell there. There or thither shall you bring all that I command you. Some? No, all. All the offerings the Most High commanded you, you got to bring it to the temple. Your burnt offerings, your sacrifices, your tithes, your heave offerings, all your choice vows that you vow unto Yahawah, they gotta come to the temple. They gotta go to the hand of the priest. He says, and you shall rejoice before Yahawah, your God, you and your sons and your daughters, your menservants and maidservants, and the Levite that is within your gates, for as much as he have no part nor inheritance with you. Take heed to thyself that thou offer not thy burnt offerings in every place that thou seest. That's plain. But in the place which Yahawah shall choose, in one of thy tribes, there thou shalt offer thy burnt offerings, and there thou shalt do all that I command thee. Right? That's the 14. Amen. All right? So, it's got to go to the hand of the priest, and it's got to go to the temple. These offerings. Okay? So the answer to the question we asked, who is responsible, whose responsibility is it to make offerings according to the law of Moses? The priests, the high priest, and the regular priests. I think I want to go through a couple of these here as well. Mm-mm-mm. Let's touch First Chronicles 6, 48 to 49. Read that for me, please, KK.
Their brethren, also the Levites, were appointed unto all manner of service of the tabernacle of the house of God.
Right.
But Aaron and his sons offered upon the altar of the burnt offering and on the altar of incense, and were appointed for all the work of the place most holy, to
Mm-hmm.
make an atonement for Israel, according to all that Moses, the servant of God, had commanded.
Right. So what did we learn here? The Levites were appointed to do all manner of service of the temple. Okay? But Aaron and his sons, they were the ones that were commanded to offer upon the altar, right, of the burnt offering, right, and the altar of incense. They were the ones appointed to do all the work in the most holy place, right? Which you have the temple opens into the holy place, and then you have the most holy place. Okay, let's see if we can get a picture of that. Uh, no, it's really small for some reason. What is this one big? No. There we go. All right, so this is a representative map. The door faces east of the outer courtyard. You have the this is a top view, okay? You have the altar. You have the laver where they wash themselves to go into the holy place, and then you have the place where Aaron and his sons only can go. Okay? And this is into the most holy place, or the Holy of Holies. Okay. Altar of burnt offering, altar of incense, all the work of the place most holy, right? To make an atonement according to all that Moses, the servant of Yahweh, commanded. Great. Let's see. Let's go to Second Chronicles 30. And we'll read 15 and 16. Second Chronicles 30, 15 and 16. It says, Then they killed the Passover on the 14th day of the second month, and the priests and the Levites were ashamed and sanctified themselves. Right? Why would it say the priests and the Levites? The whole tribe is the tribe of Levi. The priests are the sons of Aaron. And so they were ashamed and sanctified themselves and brought in the burnt offerings into the house of Yahawah. And they stood in their place after their manner according to the laws of Moses, the man of Yahawah. The priests sprinkled the blood. That's what I was telling you guys earlier. Who's the priest? The sons of Aaron. They sprinkled the blood, which they received from who? The hand of the Levites. So the tribe of Levi, responsible for getting all these sacrifices coming from the people. The priests, responsible for sprinkling the blood upon the altar. All right. I just kind of wanted to show that. Um, and even when the people watch this, so this was around Passover, even when the people couldn't sacrifice because they were not clean, they couldn't kill the animal, the Levites, the tribe of Levi, killed the animal for them. Says, and for there were many in the congregation that were not sanctified. Therefore, the Levites had the charge of killing of the Passovers for everyone that was not clean. All right. To sanctify them unto Yahawah. All right. So, you know, the tribe of Levi did the general work. The priests did the the extra special work, the holy of holy work, the sprinkling of the blood on the altar, going into the most holy place, and so on and so forth, right? So hopefully that's clear for everyone. Um, there's other scriptures here, which if you go look at the document, that I'm gonna leave a link to in the description of the video once I put it online, then people can go study like each and every one of the scriptures. But in the interest of time, we will not do that today. So it says here, um, whose responsibility is it to make offerings according to the law of Moses? Answer, it is the priest's responsibility to make the offerings. The priests are Aaron's descendants. Okay. So let's go back to Ezekiel 45 and 17. And Kara, can you read this for me, please? Just verse 17.
Yes, okay. And it shall be the prince's part to give burnt offerings and meat offerings and drink offerings in the feasts, and in the new moons and the Shabbats, in all so solemnities,
Solemnity.
solemnity,
What? Solemn, SOLEM, solemn, Ties, solemnities.
solemnities
Yeah,
of the house of Israel. He shall prepare the sin offering and the meat offering and the burnt offering and the peace offering to make reconciliation
yep, reconciliation.
for the house of Israel.
Right, all praises. So, why is it that the prince spoken of in Ezekiel 45 and the high priest have the same ordained offerings? Why do they have the same ordained offerings, right? Or the same responsibilities, I should say, right? Right? Why? How come it says it's the prince that's supposed to do this here in Ezekiel 45:17, but when we look in the scriptures, it says it's the high priest?
Is it because it's the house of Levi?
Nope. I guess it's a little bit of a tricky question. It's not meant to be, it's meant to be a pretty direct question. So here in Ezekiel 45:17, it says this person is supposed to offer sacrifices, do peace offerings, and this is the important part, make reconciliation for the house of Israel. This prince is supposed to do this. But when we go into the precepts, it says it's the responsibility of the high priest to do these things. So what does that mean about the prince that this is talking about here in Ezekiel 45:17? If he has the same responsibilities that's supposed to be the responsibilities of the high priest.
Is it Yahawashi because he's going to unite everyone?
It's not Yahawashi. Because if it was Yahawashi, would Yahawashi be offering sacrifices for the people?
Oh, no, no.
Right. So you know it's not Yahawashi. Maybe this next if you maybe this next part will make it clear. Any other guess? You want to guess one more time or you want to keep it moving?
No.
Is it high priest?
Yeah. Now why did you say it was the high priest?
Because in one of the verses I said high priest, and and it was the and it was and it was like this part. It was the exact same thing as this. That it shall be the prince's part to give burnt offerings and meat offerings and drink offerings.
Right.
So it's basically the same answer.
Exactly. The reason they have the same responsibilities is because the prince that's being spoken of here is not the ruler and it's not Yahawashi. It is the high priest. So when we read verse 16 and 17, what word should be there instead of prince to make it easier for people to understand?
High priest.
High priest. So it should read, all the people of the land shall give this oblation for the high priest in Israel. It shall be the high priest's part to give burnt offerings, meat offerings, and so on and so forth, to make reconciliation for the house of Israel, because that's who does that, you see? But this is either deliberately deceptive or just lazy, man, you know? Or maybe that's how they spoke at the time and people would know, but I mean, I doubt it. Like, this just looks like lazy translating or deceptive translating to me. In any case, we know through the precepts, this has to be talking about the actual high priest. Anyone reading this without knowledge of the precepts is going to think it's the same prince, you know, from top to bottom. And there's going to be confusion, like I read you guys when we did part one. There's a lot of confusion as to what's going on here. One Edomite doctor even said he doesn't know who this is talking about. He knows it's not this person, it's not that person, but he has no clue who it's talking about. Well, we know who it's talking about because the precepts make it clear who exactly it's talking about, depending upon the context, right? And next week we'll solidify this, looking at the fact that it's actually spiritually illegal for rulers to offer sacrifices to Yahawah, right? And then it'll probably end up being a shorter lesson. We'll break down a couple um more uh essentially princes, I guess. Two more princes. There's a prince at the gate, and then there's the prince of the bread, right? So we'll break that down, Lord willing, next week. We'll break down the ordinances showing that rulers cannot offer sacrifices upon the altar of the Most High, and then we'll wrap that next week. But for today, we'll wrap up, in a word of prayer and the trumpet, and we'll leave it there. So to the people that will, uh, that joined us online. Of course, you so-called Negroes, you are the biblical Israelites. You must return to your God, or you will perish with this falling kingdom of Babylon. To the so-called Europeans, the Edomites, the biblical Edomites, the Most High is going to destroy you. You have no salvation. He said even when you sought it with tears, you could not get it. And Revelation chapter 13, from verse 9 to verse 10 is showing, your destruction, and it is shown. And to you heathens, you other nations, if you want to follow the Most High in spirit and truth, you need to get out of these churches and you need to get under the tutelage of a priest that was ordained by the Most High, according to the book of Psalms 147, 19 and 20. You need to get under the tutelage of an Israelite in order to make it to God's kingdom. All right. So with that, all praise to the Most High, and we will see you guys on the other side. Yeah, 147, 19 and 20. He showed up his word unto Jacob, his statutes and judgments unto Israel. He have not dealt so with any nation, as for his judgments, they have not known them. Praise ye Yahawah. All right, so all you people, you're being deceived by these churches, by these religions, okay, by these philosophies. Only Israelites know the true will and word of the Most High God. So if you want to get in good with God, you have to walk with us under our tutelage. You are not our masters, you are our students. Okay? And with that, all praise to the Most High. And if you guys want to walk in spirit and truth, subscribe and come back to the next class. Hallelujah. What?